I have 40 custom skills installed in my Claude ecosystem right now. If I'm showing you our AI CMO, we have AI CMO director, research SEO agents, writers for different platforms, designing image carousels, Spiral for checking out all the trends, gaps, and opportunities for the marketing efforts, and scheduling, publishing, knowledge ops, all of them. And in addition to this AI CMO, we have sales operations and other business operations with agents. And people ask me often, and here's the thing most people miss. I don't actually care which AI tool I use to run them. Here's the reason. If Anthropic doubles their pricing tomorrow, if Cloud Code gets deprecated, if some new agent shows up like Hermes, OpenClaude, or anything next quarter, and that's twice as better, as fast as Cloud, I can move my entire operating system in a day because it's the same file, different runtime. That's the bet. Own your skills, rent agents. So in this video, this is a complete guide to building skills that outlast any individual tools. We're going to deep anatomy, activation, how to build them, how to combine them, why they're cross-platform by default, and I'm going to show you my actual stack. Let's go. First thing first, we have to understand the structure of skill. Without understanding clearly this part, you will end up going to many different GitHubs like this or some marketplaces where they share like 600 or 1,000 skills and they say, oh, just download this and use it for yourself. Many times you feel like the need of customization to your specific use cases and preferences. Without understanding things under the hood, you will end up always getting confused. And many times you will end up having multiple skills that do almost the same thing. So I highly recommend to understand skill anatomy first. Actually, pretty easy. Under skills folder, we are having skill.md, scripts folder, references folder, and assets. And I said skill.md is brain here because we're having the metadata and then we're going to have descriptions. It's very well written in this Claude Code documentations. So meta for meta means we are having the name of the skills and description of the skills. And Claude is actually looking up these part only to save token and to search quickly for finding relevant skills for your use case. If you mess up with this part, probably this will not be loaded and the operation you were expecting will not be executed properly. And you can set up very simple description or you can set up step-by-step description. I normally like the idea of step-by-step instructions so that to execute one of your operations, do A, do B, do C, and give me the result in certain outputs. That way, I think I got a lot better results for my case. And we have scripts. Scripts is just hands, it's optional, and you can put some Python code. For example, if we are coming to this skills, and scripts is basically just a Python file that will be executed per your request. To give you an idea, if you have a scraping skills for Instagram, then Python will be written, oh, like we're going to use this API and execute some of the actions and return to the cloud. We've covered skill.md, scrapes folder, and now references folder. You can think of this folder about your knowledge. If you have some information about your brand voice or some formulas, some formats, some ICPs, some examples, you can put it in here and then it will be loaded when skill.md asks. The last part is assets. We call it templates or assets. You can put your logo, you can put your fonts or some static files if you want to put it in. Except for this skill.md, actually, these three folders are optional, But depending on your use case and the quality of the outcome you're expecting, you can progressively add information to these files. This is interesting stats. I found on the internet that stats shows you very simple skills, only like 20% of invocation, meaning that if you call 5 times, only 1 time is actually hit properly. And while if you have a good skills, it can go up to 84%. That's why I said, even though a lot of people might provide you a ton of skills for free, but if you don't know how to tweak it, how to improve it, how to customize it for your case, you will have lower quality of the skills. I have these 4 rules for better activations. You don't need a lot of skills, first of all. Try to find the skills you really need and organize them frequently. And the next step is one skill at a time. If you have multiple skills that have similar name of the skills and description and this very similar job, how can Claude clearly distinguish these two and pick up the right one and predict your mind behind it? So I always recommend to have one skill, one job. And you can have aliases in the description. I will show you later the examples. When you have a morning brief, you can set like morning check, daily brief. And what do I do today? Claude understands the skills better. And I emphasize this most. Test test your skills in different ways and still deliver what you're expecting. Let's say you are scraping some information using Firecrawl or your own custom skills. Do they scroll your page? Do they scroll the dip pages, like multiple pages at once? Do they meet your expectations? So you have to test all of them. And then if that doesn't happen, you can even customize it, tweak it even more. This is a quick mental model you can have for skills. Every skill is one of these three you can categorize. And the first one is just pure SOP. You have skill.md and you instruct them with some steps and no extra, no reference files, no scripts, no assets. And the second one is knowledge. You put some of your knowledge like ICP, brand voice, or formats marketing materials or output formats in the reference files, and then you can use that to skill.md. The last layer is you put even execution. You use scripts and you are using some of the RAG like our agents are having. So the skills is actually handling all the processes with the right knowledge and right tools and everything. Essentially, this is the foundation of having minimal agents. So if you have that understanding, now next time when you look at different skills, you can figure out, okay, these guys are using skills this way. They are having scripts, they're having references. So what if I don't like the reference part? I can go to reference files and I can delete them and I can set up my own. And all of them can happen inside the Claude or Claude code. Now you have the right foundation. And I use skill.mcp many times for like this. Skills are the process, and we don't have external tools yet. Of course, we can use scripts to build those tools. But what if we are already having the good tools, good MCPs that are provided for us, like Notion, Gmail, Stripe, Calendar? All of them, we have it, and we don't necessarily rebuild. You can connect MCP and skills all together. So I want to show you the example quickly. If you go to customize, you have connectors. So you can add many connectors like myself. You can have Blotato, you can have Calendly, you can have Gmail, you can have Notion, Superbase, and also my custom connectors too. But to give you an idea, this MCP has all the tools to use their software. For example, Blotato, you have list accounts and schedule content, etc. But your Claude has not known yet, if you don't set your skills yet, don't know how to write LinkedIn for viral, for example, what you can do here is I use our own AI CMO tools. And let's say we love this one from our client, our competitors, that we can copy in text, come back to here and using, could you write LinkedIn content for viral with this as an idea? Then the first thing is we're expecting the skill, the right skill to be loaded. Here, running skills, if you look at it, LinkedIn viral writer. So we're having these skills and this skill has been loaded properly and using our input and it generates the right content for LinkedIn. Then we can use this one as an output from our skills and we can use Blotato to schedule for different platforms. So Blotato has been very helpful for me. And I basically set up, this one was just 5 minute setup. I set up everything and I go to API key, copy API key. If you're using Claude Cowork or Claude Code, you can have different setup. You can just copy and paste and it will be 5 minutes setup. I highly recommend to have that to maximize distribution for your social content, by the way. Anyway, we have different versions and then you can choose it. And if you, let's say you choose this one, and could you set this up for tomorrow, May 15th, 8 a.m. CST for LinkedIn? Then let me show you how Claude will respond. We are using here, Blotato, and create a post like this. So this way, MCP and skills can work together and almost work like agent. And I love this way so that you can stay lean as possible. Before we're getting into your work of how we can create our own skills, how we can update our skills, and how we can even import skills from different places like GitHub or Marketplace. I want to focus on this part first. The skill.md, they're sharing same folder structure. If you look at Cloud Code documentation, or if you look at OpenAI agent skills, they are essentially same. Skill.md, scripts, references, assets. Why? I believe here are two things. Skills becoming like another API or another protocol between agents. And the second thing is all the major players will essentially have identical formats to then let's say when people want to move from Claude to over to OpenAI like the past few days, then it's super easy. Okay, I can just copy and paste my skills and I can operate exactly the way I operated with Claude today. We don't have much frictions changing between tools. So that's why I said, what if we are doing the same thing? Then in the end, it doesn't matter we are using Claude, we are using Codex, we are using Hermes, OpenClaude, we are following the big patterns here. If you understand this one, you're already top 1%. And I want to go back to our Claude and show you how you can create skills. There are many ways, but I love the idea of customize skills, and then you can create skills like this. And you can browse skills, create skills with Claude. And here you can click here, come. Let's create a skill together using your skill creator skill. This one is provided by Anthropic. This time, I mentioned this one many times in our videos. This time, you are forced to think about your own SOP, meaning that when you are generating, let's say, social media content, what is your manual process? You have to understand, you gather the information, you analyze a little bit, you know your output, you know the input, you know the topics and the length of it, tone of voice, everything. That way, you can ask agents or you can ask Claude to behave like you. So SOP is the first step. But let's say if you don't know well about it, what I would do is I would just start with the vague information. I want to achieve writing newsletter with my information, I'll say scattered information from multiple sources and my angles from my mind. I want to. So this is level one. You understand your object. You know the goal of this skill, and you know the kind of input here. Then you can start from here, and I'll change to Opus, and Claude asked me more questions to figure out my true intention and the goal. And it asked me like, which newsletter is the skill for? I am writing for my main newsletter. And what do you scatter input usually look like? Rough notes, text, URLs, or documentations. And what should the skill hand back to you? And here, a finished, ready to send draft or a structured outline, then I write from draft all of them. This is the power of skills and why you can have customization. Some people, they may need like just brief content overview of the newsletter and still save a few hours. Or some people wants to have from end to end kind of automation. We're choosing this one. After a few minutes, it just creates a skills for us. Says newsletter skill, and we can say skill, and it show us skill.md. And like I said, skill.md has managed. You can go to customize section and you can see the skill.md reference files. And in the reference files, we have a structure and we have voice because I already passed the previous examples and it shows all of them. And we have voice and voice for hook, voice for different things, core identity. If you don't like this part, we can update it later. I want to show you the skill part, main part, and description is super important. Here, what it says here is use whenever June wants to write a newsletter issue says, write the newsletter, draft this week's issue newsletter from these notes, turn this into a newsletter, hands over a topic. So if you're using aliases, you are increasing possibility of getting this skill properly loaded for your newsletter in this case. The next step is we need to test, and if we don't like it, we need to update it. Someone mentioned about LinkedIn Outreach just got on real with Claude. So let's say we are copying this one and we're coming back. I want to write this as a newsletter. And from our AI CMO, it actually wrote for tweets, multi-thread tweets. And now I am asking here to reuse this one for our newsletter. And we'll see it's working or we need to iterate. I want to show you our sidebar and checks out with you how I would conduct the testing and checking out and iterate. So first thing is on the right side, we just check it was properly loaded and it follows some processes here. Step 1, step 2, and step 3 and 4, write the draft. And if I'm showing you here, write the draft, it was starting with the turn and hooks and proof and reframe and CTA. So this part is correct. If you didn't see the hook part, then you can actually ask directly inside the clause, say, actually, you said you're going to have hook all the time. You didn't have. Claude is going to update our skills, skill.md part. To give you an example, the CTA said bare single line, usually an arrow to a video, no hard. As a test, I want to update this skill to have a big CTA, very promotional by our 1 million products. Oh, I didn't expect this. The first thing is, it said, I'm not going to make the change. Because why? The skill was reverse engineer from our real issues, and it wants to keep that tone. And the second thing is, it said, even with that, it's not a good idea. Or if you really want to change the style of the CTA, it said, issue type switch. The next step I want to see here is, it actually stops here. Because why? Here, wait for confirmations. And if we are saying we don't like this way, then you can always chat inside the close, say, oh, actually, I don't like your idea. Can we change the reframe part? Can we change the term part? Opens with this hook part. We like your initial format. Could we write a full draft for me? Within a minute, it just finished my newsletter. It started with the hey, I always start with this, and it started with the right hook, and some of them the right format, and CTA too, and also subject line options. We don't help with outreach anymore. I love this one. It's a lot catchy, and you have preview tags. And here it even gives us some notes they made. It said it talks about the hook, it talks about the CTA, how does it read. The way we have to think about with the skills is we're thinking with the structure. So the testing point is not the content itself, because content itself you can iterate as many as you want. Of course, we can improve that, but we have to look out the structural points first. If it doesn't write the CTA properly, if it doesn't write the hook parts properly, it doesn't retrieve your reference properly. We have to fix that first. And you can, like I showed you here, you can always change and fix it and iterate inside the code. That's my recommendation. And let's say, what if you want to scrape somewhere and use that as your source instead of doing this? I walk you through, we have scripts. So what if you want to have scripts? Same thing, you ask it how you want to perform that operations manually. Then Claude is smart enough to map that out and even create a script for you. I want to update this skill with scripts. This time I want to use Firecrawl to scrape the news about AI whenever I call and use that as the source for our next newsletter issue. Could you work on this? So within a few minutes again, our skill got updated one more time. Here now we are having scripts. I didn't even write any single line of this code, but it just follows my instruction. It says, go to use Firecrawl, grab the top ranking news about AI, and give me 20 of them. I tested quickly and it said it was properly loaded and it was working well. It even auto-picked because I asked to auto-pick for me. And blind ambition AI agents can turn tasks into digital digesters. The script worked correctly, but the week's news itself is a week for your newsletter. They got the auto-pick, but it wasn't a good deal for my newsletter. And how does read, this was the thin news week for your format. It went through for me and it checks the relevance and every scoring and it says even the highest ranking is 7 out of 10. So it's not that great signal. So you can even skip this part for this week's newsletter. That's great. That's a great starting point for skills. But the thing we have to remember is now you know how to set up your own skills, you know how to update it, and you know even how to have the scripts for your execution layer. You know, if you follow along, you know everything I know, but I want to show you, okay, now we know how to do it manually. Now, like you know how to catch a fish, let's see fish. So there are many places, but the way I found a great skills is coming from social media, from X or LinkedIn or TikTok. If people say something about it, this marketplace is very popular. As you can see, it has now over a million skills. It's insane. They're OpenClaude. They're having here from Microsoft or from. I love this one by the way. Superpower is very good skills you can have. And for me, I'm already getting dizzy from these many skills. So you can set up by sort by skills, sort by regency, or you can search from the keyword you want to have. SEO skills, and you can see This guy, you can click this part and it shows description name, description. Now you understand it, right? We're having metadata here, and then we're having some instructions. And if you want this one, what you can do is first you can install npx skills and open, you can copy and paste, or you can file the zip. So let's say you download the zip, then go to customize, go to skills. This time, don't click create with Claude, but upload a skill here and download this zip file, open it. And if it works, it will be loaded. And it was properly loaded here. And then you can see the next step is same. Could we test this one? Yes, it's reading skill file. So it's being loaded properly, and then we can get the result. This way you can add as many skills as you want. The more important thing here is to understand the anatomy of skills and also maintain to make sure you are not having overlapped skills. So the way I do it here is I check manually. Sometimes I customize it. I go to skills and I check what are the things that I'm doing, what are the skills that might be overlapped. Or sometimes I just even ask Claude same the same questions. And if I don't need it, I archive it. It's nonsense if you try to have all of them, or if somebody told you, oh, they're sharing 600 skills. They probably don't know what they're doing. The next one I want to cover is now you are having basic understanding why this concept was so important. I showed you we are having OpenAI agents and Claude agents are using the same skills. And let's say the other day, every project is deprecated and you're having only hermits. Then you can use this hermits too, because they're using same skills too. That's why it's so important to understand the core part of what is going on in this AI niche right now. And same thing, companies are shipping their official skills, Strive, Vercel, Cloudflare, and even printing press.dev. If they don't have official API or something, you can actually generate a CII version for yourself, and you can even use that for building skills or building MCPs. Skills will be very important in the future down the road, in my opinion. And now you get everything. And my current stacks, if I'm showing you, I have many skills, and here's skills. And some I have around like a 40 skills. Most of them are customized, coming from my own experience and serving a lot of clients for marketing, sales, and regular business operations. And to name a few, we are having daily operation skills, we're having content skills from SEO to social, and we're having sales outreach skills, meeting skills, production skill, research skills. And great mental model you can have is actually sit down, take some time to write down what are the operations you're having today. Do you have operations for sales? Do you have operation for content, for research, for marketing, or email, anything? And once you build one by one, you will get a lot more productive. So that was our entire master course for skills. I highly recommend you your hands dirty and play with it, understanding. If you wrap your head around, then you will not get afraid of seeing 100 skills. All of them from social media is basically make you feel behind so that you're becoming product of someone else. With that said, I want you to introduce our community again. Our community is just focusing on what truly matters from my own experience building agents and helping other clients, even coaching other founders. We're sharing a lot of resources, and we are having classrooms. We're having some free resources. You can come here and you can take it and you can learn it. And we're having paid courses if you want to deep dive into AI and become an operator to understand AI better than anyone in your organization or in your career. Please join. and let's make a move. I wish you enjoy our content. See you in the next video. We'll talk about Cloud Cowork Master Course.